Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're doing commentary on the case.
Is that correct?
I didn't ask you to interrupt me. Oh, for Christ's sake.
Good morning, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. A little quiet, there we go, a little better. It's a chilly, it's a balmy 60 degrees in my courtroom this morning. That's 6-0. I need to fix my heater. It's the dang pilot light. Everything else works. It'll blow cold air just fine. Just fine. The cold air has been blowing great. Just add that to the list. Well, we're getting started this morning. Also got my call-out orders for helping with the hurricane. We're not getting sent to Western North Carolina. We're getting sent just a little bit south, down to Greenville, South Carolina. And I leave midday Friday. So it presents a couple challenges, but I think we've got it covered. So, let's see. I'm just going to warm up my hands before I touch these cold buttons. Hey Siri, what is 60 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius?
60 degrees Fahrenheit is 15.56 degrees Celsius.
There you go. For all you, the rest of the world that doesn't use what we use, it's 15 in here. It's 15. Good morning. We are excited to have this may be our last, and it's only a half day of court from Georgia, because this court is taking half the day off this afternoon. They're going to start here in a few minutes, but after that, we expect there's a possibility that Sarah Boone will be up and going. Maybe we've got Chris from Trial TV Live down there at the courthouse. We thought we had a feed, but it looks like it was from the wrong courtroom, so we're waiting for that. So nothing to show yet on that stream, but he's on top of it. We'll have that going in just a minute. All right, let me log back in there. Okay. Let's see. Buffer. We have birthdays. Megan, and there's only one M&M I know that is spelled that way. Who put M&M on the list? Would the real Slim Shady please stand up? Who put M&M on the list there? I've got to know. Oh my goodness. Can't feel my toes. Is chat on screen? Boom. There it is. Thank you, Weather Watch. Thomas, appreciate that. Thomas, podcast tonight, thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe. Either way, your call. I'm voting it was Adam, says Abby J. We'll sing to Eminem. I mean, he's been singing to us for all these years. Albeit it's about mom's spaghetti and things like that. Let's see. Put 2 thumbs up. It's better than one finger on each hand, right? Well, I guess technically a thumb. Is a thumb a finger? There's a deep question. First poll of the morning. Is a thumb a finger? I like to think it is, because I've always said I have 5 fingers on each hand and 10 fingers total. All right. I don't know why we're talking about this. We have things to do. We have birthdays to sing to, and apparently Megan and Eminem. Is there anybody else? I'm just looking on the list to see if there's anyone else that needs to be included. I see none. A thumb is a limb, says Peter. We'll have to have this conversation at some point. All right, birthday song ready. Ashley says, I put Eminem on the list. Awesome. Okay, we will sing to Eminem. Somebody has to tag him, though, so he knows we're singing to him. Maybe he'll write us a song or something. I don't know. I'm in a good mood. I'm excited to get down to South Carolina, although I have to go to Lowe's and buy new chainsaw blades. I guess replacement chainsaw blades because we won't have time to stop and get them sharpened. So I've got one on right now. I'm going to buy a spare. I've got to buy a square nose shovel to help muck out some basements, work gloves, and I don't know, there's some other things, but Mrs. R.A. has a list, and I'm going to do that. All right, sing with me if you will. Warm up, please, everyone. 1, 2, 3. La 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 la. That was pretty good. Here we go. Stand up, blend your voices with those of your neighbors. Project to the back of the room. Deep breath. Dancers at the ready. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Megan. And the real Slim Shady Eminem. Happy birthday to you. Megan and Eminem, today's your special day. Of all the days, today is your day. You could be a million different places today, but you've chosen to be here with us. I will say that right now you need to take a brief break. Head down to your local Denny's, your IHOP, Village Inn, Waffle House, any other breakfast establishment that serves traditional American breakfast, and ask for your free stack pancakes. Because everyone should get a free stack of pancakes on their birthday. And you don't want to miss it, because today is your day. So thank you very much. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to all of y'all. We're excited. We're gonna be going to court to celebrate. A little interlude here, though. Oh, I like the shuffle to the left, shuffle to the right. That was a good addition to the dance. I see you guys doing that. I almost want to stand up and dance as well. Which is the better songwriter, Eminem or Suno? Ooh. I'd like to put myself on the list as well, because I dabble. I have to say also that I missed this, but I'll do it the birthday song. Katia Pickerel, welcome. You were first in chat under another username, but we're going to recognize you under this one. Congratulations. The internet is all yours, Katia. Do with it as you wish. Just keep it running. It's podcast night. It's Thursday. It's podcast time. I think. I didn't see Weatherwatch's response. He's mulling it over. He's like, I don't know. I saw the intro today. I'm just not sure if I'm up for that. No, we got the 2 thumbs up. So that was yes. All right. Happy birthday. I think this drums. Yeah. This is our drum solo on the ending. So everyone join us on the drum solo. Even the dancers. I've got air drumsticks for y'all. So pick them up. Ready? One in each hand. Around the toms and then the cymbals. Here we go. Beautiful. Happy birthday. All right, we're headed down to court. What is really exciting? What's really exciting is that we still have Rust. I was going to say Scott, but we have Rusty on the stand. What was the buffer for? Oh, Sarah Sherwood. Happy birthday. I'm so sorry I missed you. Sarah, can you consider yourself sung to? I will extend the offer. Sarah. I see you there. I'll extend the offer for free pancakes to you as well, nationwide. If you'd find a place that doesn't honor that, just send me a copy of the receipt that they charge you, and I'll cover your pancakes. I'll cover your flapjacks. Sarah, happy birthday. Thank you very much for being here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Sarah. Thank you. All right, we are about to begin court, and by about I mean it's time. It's time. What movie has that line in it? It's time. Like really intensely delivered. I think I've seen that somewhere. It's probably all of them. All right. Let's see. I need to update my downstream keyer so we can put the verbal buffer counter. You guys need to keep me honest on this. I think I've missed a couple. So if this number needs to go up when the judge, verbally buffers a bit, make sure you keep me honest and let me know, because I will do that. All right. Are you going to Florida, Georgia? We're going to Georgia and then Florida. It's a late start. I think the judge down there, Judge Kranick, has like 14 criminal appearances. Let's see. Wow. He's got like 14 criminal appearances happening, and then Sarah Boone, and there's some hearings, and then there's some jury selection, and then they may start with openings this afternoon. But we'll be down there. We've got Chris is down there at the media portal. It's literally think of like an electrical box in the middle of the sidewalk, and they take the sides off, and there are a bunch of plugs. He pulls up next to it, drives up, and pulls up next to it, and just plugs in our gear. That's where he's at. So he'll be bringing us that as soon as there is a feed to bring us. And voir dire or some combination of those is happening today. I want to say also a big special shout out to some very special people who know who they are, who don't want to be recognized, who helped close the gap on what we call the last mile. Sometimes when we get to a courtroom like this, we find out that things are not as they are at other courtrooms, and that was the case here. So thank you for those generous individuals who made things happen and helped us the last little bit with some things we needed. Let's see. They're killing cockroaches. I would go nuts. I would sleep in the car. I would sleep upright. I'd rather sleep in this chair, which you guys see. I sleep in this chair quite a bit. I'd rather sleep in this chair and get the neck problems that I get from doing that than be in that situation in the hotel. But welcome to the South. I mean, honestly, the bugs were here before we were, and they'll be here long after we leave. If you ever watch Wall-E, that's what happens. So it's always just a constant battle. Yes, I heard about that. Thank you, anonymous people. Let me just say this: there are some really, really generous and thoughtful people who step up without being asked, and not just step up, but act in a big way. And I can't say enough for them. It's amazing to see people
just sent me a video of roaches
support
fighting.
us and our efforts, and want to do it anonymously as well, and just keep it quiet. So thank you. Honestly, I appreciate that. All right, Shore Life Creations, good morning. Do you think Rusty actually didn't want to talk to anyone about the case last night? Because I don't feel he's the type that could do that. Please tell me there's not a recorded phone call from last night between Rusty and Melody. His phone's still tapped. That would be terrible. Oh my goodness. All forward. All right. that would be the best call.
I saw a chicken fight.
Fighting. Do we know the last time Rusty and the defendant talked? I don't think they asked that question. We know they've been talking about this case. So it's
call from Angela.
Good morning, Angela. How are you doing this morning?
Well, I have been better.
Oh no.
Honestly, way better. So
anything we can help with?
No, I don't remember. No, it's just the news that we all got last night, this morning. So yeah, for you that did not hear, Liam Payne died last night or this morning, depends on what time zone you are in. And I grew up listening to One Direction, so it hit me really hard. The reason why I wanted to call is I can't call later because I am going to probably by the end of this stream I'll be on my way to dance class. So I won't be able to call it.
It's for our dance in the morning, right? For the birthday song.
Yeah. But there is back to the point. Before we got Rusty and DNA and so on and so forth, everything was circumstantial, and we got even with DNA, it still was like, did she really do it, or there was still some doubt. Earlier, before you went online live, I talked and I mentioned a show that I watched called Reasonable Doubt. It's like I don't know how to call it, but it's two detectives, real life detectives, that investigate cases. Both that people are like, oh, I have been wrongfully convicted, or family reaching out, wanting closure on their loved ones' cases. And in order for them to take your case, you need to have some kind of new evidence for them to look at it, or something that police haven't looked at before.
Some reason to go back and open up the case again.
Yeah. And most of those, I only watched like 2 seasons. It has 5 seasons. Most of those cases they looked at, they have circumstantial evidence. Some had hard evidence like DNA or a print or something like that. But most had circumstantial evidence. And they said that when we think of a criminal case, we think, oh, we need DNA, we need hard evidence to convict somebody, to put them at the scene or put them at the vicinity of the crime scene.
Right.
But they said that most of the cases, I think they even said the percentile, but I don't remember it.
Most are circumstantial.
Most of the cases, yeah, and those pieces, circumstantial evidence, they treat it as puzzle pieces, and when you put all those puzzle pieces together, you get a picture of who did it.
Yeah,
and I think this is the case of that.
Yeah, that's where
we got
that reasonable doubt. That's where that is so important. That if these puzzle pieces can reasonably be arranged in a different manner that doesn't reach that same conclusion, that's reasonable doubt.
Yeah. And if anyone has Max, you can find it on Max. Probably on some other probably on some other streaming service as well. I recommend it highly. It's a really good show.
There are so many.
I only today found out it's on Max.
There's so many great true crime shows. Yeah. You can spend the rest of your life and you won't catch up watching them. But Angela, I do feel terrible that Liam passed. It's terrible to hear that, and my condolences. I know I could probably sing along with quite a few One Direction songs myself, and I won't do that to spare you all. But it's the story of my life, right?
You can't feel it any more than I did ABBA.
The story of my life.
I murdered. Yeah.
All right.
But,
Angela.
But thank you.
Thank you. Have yourself a good day. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. We are, it's always good to talk to Angela from all the way across the pond. I'd hate to see her phone bill. I need to figure out a way to get her to be able to call without paying the exorbitant long-distance charges that apply. Yes, do take care. All right. We have, let's see, we've got the judge. He just walked in. I think he sat down, but we're not starting yet. It'll probably take a few more minutes to get going. Let's see, where's my mouse? We need workspace right here. I'm going to record right there. Send a video clean feed to HDMI. Bingo. Bada bing, bada boom. I think I went back and I saw that part. The part where he talked about his pasta salad. And I was I was distracted by Mrs. R.A. at the time. That's why I missed it. If you were married to Mrs. R.A., you'd be distracted too. Lover. Let's see. Trying to see where he says that. I think I got it here. Did I grab it? I might have missed it. I thought I had it, but I didn't. Bummer. Sorry about that. I was going to replay it, but there was a funny comment where he made, where he basically said, I got audio, where he basically said, you've spied on me at the grocery store, and you know what my recipe is for pasta salad. And then he did a little side eye, a little smirk look over at the jury to see how the joke landed. So remove selected clips. Let's do that. Judge is talking, but I can barely hear him.
Last night, going back and considering the court's rulings and orders and trying to work within that, and then
Because he's the guy.
Crank the audio.
Rusty's interview, which is part of 10 minutes of evidence yesterday, and I'm re-tendering that now. It's 2 hours and 32 minutes and 5 seconds. I like it all. The first 30 minutes or so, there's not much going on, talking about ancillary things. And then
Cranked it up.
there are some timestamps. There's some pauses and 38 minutes and 30 seconds after Mr. Barton and his attorney, Mr. Carter, step out and talk. They start again at 38 minutes and 30 seconds. And at 48 minutes and 55 seconds, the two, Mr. Barton and his attorney, step out. And then at 1 hour and 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the attorney comes back in, and he's just meeting with the two investigators. Rusty is not there.
I've got 50 decibels of gain on this. If they turn the mics on, we're going to go
he's
deaf.
Talking to them, and it's just the attorney and the two investigators. Then at 1 hour and 28 minutes, right around there, Rusty is actually sitting back in, and the attorney starts talking, and Rusty's there, and the attorney makes some statements about he's ready to talk, and he wants to talk, and Rusty is sitting there listening to that, and then begins talking, and they talk for another hour or so. Basically, so 1 hour and 28 minutes to 1 hour and 42 minutes. So roughly 14 minutes is what I want to play. I don't want to play all of it. I like it all. I'm not trying to hide anything. Under Rule 106, Rule of Completeness, if they want to play anything around it, they can do that. They're welcome to do it. As they're the 14 minutes I want to play, towards the end, law enforcement steps out. Detective Hayes actually does something very professional, very courteous. When they step out, they all know it's being recorded, and when the two investigators step out, and Rusty and his attorney are still in the room, the recorder's still running. Detective Hayes says, for attorney-client privilege, let you know the recorder's still running. His attorney says, thank you, most people won't do that. Then you hear conversations between Rusty and his attorney, and they're talking about, were you in shock, what was that, and then law enforcement comes back in, and for 3 or 4 minutes, I don't remember exactly, they talk, and then I want to get into that. There is no attorney-client privilege, that expectation of privacy, because they are meeting with law enforcement. Detective Hayes tells him the recorder is still recording, but that is part of that. I didn't know if the court wanted to listen to the portion I wanted to play this morning, or what do you want to do for the jury to? I don't think they would do it.
Judge, the issue, sure, we could play the whole thing under the rule of completeness, but we'd rather not. This jury, I'm going to have him on cross-examination. I'm going to be able to talk to him about all of this. So I have no issue with the 14 minutes because he's under cross. He will be under cross.
That's all I do, but if you're going to play an hour.
No.
Just 14 minutes total. Judge, I apologize. Did not clear. It is 2 hours and 32 minutes long with lots of gaps. They talk about all kinds of things. There's about 40 minutes of them sitting with the attorney meeting with his client. The context will be clear enough that they can tell whether or not he was scared, threatened, or something like that.
You're wanting to play the portion where he's in there with his attorney by himself?
Yes, I do, because I think it shows that he's not scared and the attorney's not saying anything. And Judge, I know, I remember the code section off the top of my head. I'm going to have to look at it, but Mr. Barton made some statements about what his attorney told him, so you can impeach a non-testifying witness with hearsay. But I'm not offering for the truth of the matter asserted. I'm offering to show the context, whether or not the the witness was scared, and also I think it's under 802. It could be an adopted admission by his attorney, or it could be an admission by silence of certain points. I can play that the 14 minutes to the court. I could probably get pretty close to.
Are y'all objecting at all?
Well, so the issue, and reminding us your focus, it's been a while since I've listened to this recording, but you have the recorder running, but he's gone back into the office with his attorney. It's not just him and his attorney in the way.
I can find the portion is they're at the lawyer's office, Mr. Carter's
Right.
office. All four men were talking.
Right.
The attorney and the client go out for a while. The attorney then comes back in on his own, and then Rusty comes in. The conversation goes for a little bit, and then the investigators step out, and they want to talk. And when they step out, Detective Hayes actually turns to the attorney and says, for attorney-client privilege, let you know the recorder's still running. And he says, thank you, most people. And then they chit-chat a little bit, and the investigators come back in, and they continue talking for about an hour. And we can play that portion. I can find it if you want to listen to it.
They've recorded the attorney-client privilege portion?
But I think in the,
We have a hot mic.
I think it would be best to play the 14 minutes before we come out and play in front of the jury. I tried to avoid that based on our time limitations for the day, but I think that's the best thing to do.
Okay, all right, let's play it. Tell them we're taking 15 minutes. They got a break.
no objection about 10 minutes ahead of sound.
Yeah.
Barton would, just so I tender officially, Barton would,
No, we can't do closed captioning because of the way we go live. It doesn't work for us. Sorry, guys.
Judge, this is 1 hour and 20. Judge, do we have to turn something on for the system?
Yeah.
This might get
All right,
really
Judge,
bad.
this is just the attorney talking to them, and this is 120, and I'm just going to
This is what it sounds like normally.
skip through that.
Well, actually, this right here is the regular audio level as it's on the feed. Can you guys hear anything? No?
1 hour and 28 minutes.
Then I do this to it.
He's a very loyal person. And it's taken some time to get here, but in the interest of self-preservation, you know, you can either be in the witness box or you can be in the consent table. He was ready to talk about that conversation. But I asked him this before leading up to that conversation. Had she ever indicated anything to you? Had she ever asked? Had she ever given you any inkling or any indication that she intended to do him harm?
No. I've never heard that. I promise you, I have never heard that.
That's his lawyer, Judge. That's not.
Before we start this, do you have any questions for me about anything? No.
At 1 hour and 28 minutes, Bobby Carter, Mr. Barton's lawyer, is sitting there with Mr. Barton and with Pope and Hayes. And he's speaking and saying he's ready to talk about that conversation, and then says, before leading up to that conversation, he's asking Rusty, sitting right there, has she ever indicated anything to you? Ever said anything, inkling, indication she intended to do him harm? And then Rusty says, no, I have never heard that. I promise you I've never heard that. So it is, in the context of law enforcement, he's making a statement, as the court knows, I know the court's seen this in other cases, the case law in Georgia is that the statements by other people's during an interrogation or interview, it's not being offered truth and matter served. It's just a technique.
I'm just making sure who was saying what.
Yeah, so
That's the lawyer.
That's the lawyer asking the question.
That's the lawyer asking the question of his client, which I would say is privileged.
it can't be privileged. Police officers sitting right there.
Is this when they left the room or when they're in the room?
They're in the room. You don't hear them start talking.
If they're in the room, it's not
He's
privilege.
referring back.
Go ahead.
All right, we'll start
some more. We'll do here.
All right, start again. 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Just start from where you were.
I'm sorry, Judge.
He's a very loyal person. And take us some time to get here, but in the interest of self-preservation, you know, you be in this box, you can be in the.
I don't know why they aren't showing this. This is something we're allowed to see.
He was ready to talk about that conversation. But I asked him this.
This is really hard to hear, but let me.
Before leading up to that conversation, had she ever indicated?
Yeah, we lost the feed. No more hot mic. Bummer. All right, let me tell you what happened. We have the prosecution wants to play for the jury a portion of the audio recording of Rusty's interview with Pope and that other lawyer or the other investigator, right? When they came to his house or they came to his lawyer's office, Bobby's office, and they were interviewing him. That was they're playing part of the interview where he made that confession, where he basically said, he sung like a jailbird. He said, she called me at 2:00 in the morning, July 4th, and said his body's in the burn pit. That part, they want to play what happened just before then to the jury to show that this was not a man that was under duress, that was under high stress. That they'd put the screws into him, and he's like, fine, I'll talk type thing. Just make the pain stop. No, they're just laid back. They're calm. They're cool. They're collected. Nothing. And that's what they want to play. They have the whole recording, and it sounds like what happened was the two investigators and Rusty's lawyer were meeting in one room in Rusty's office, and they recorded the conversation. And there's a point where the two investigators leave the room, but leave the recorder going and tell tell Rusty's lawyer, Bobby, that, just full disclosure, recorder's still rolling, for confidentiality purposes. Just know that we're still recording. And Bobby's like, all right, cool. Thanks for telling me. Most people wouldn't tell me. That's cool. They leave, and then this conversation takes place between Rusty and his lawyer, where his lawyer says, is there anything, did she ever tell you that she was going to do any harm to Gary? Melody was ever going to, harm Melody? And Rusty says, no, never, I promise. That's what happened right before the investigators come back in. I think Rusty left for a little bit, and then Rusty comes back in and then tells them about this 2 a.m. phone call. So what they're doing right now, outside the presence of the jury, is that they're playing this for the judge, and the judge is ruling on whether or not this is valid evidence to be presented in court. There are issues of confidentiality, lawyer confidentiality, even if it was recorded. Just like a phone call with your lawyer at the jail, those are recorded. They have to delete those and not listen to them. So that might be an issue. So we'll see what happens when the judge rules on this. We'll know what happens based on what the prosecution presents, because they really want to present this to disprove and discredit what Rusty said on the stand about how he's made that comment, which he recanted later, 11 months later, but he made it under duress. And they're saying there was no duress. There was nothing like that. It is privileged. So that issue has to be litigated as well. Especially, we're dealing with an audio recording, and all you know is who you hear on the recording, not necessarily who is in the room. So if people just get up and leave, and it's just the lawyer and the client together, that should be a privileged conversation. But if they are still in the room, then you've got multiple people there that can overhear just in regular conversation, and it's no longer privileged. It's like if you have a conversation with your lawyer in an elevator, it's privileged. If a third person gets in the elevator and is riding with you and you continue your conversation, that portion is not privileged. So it's the rules are funny like that. The judge has to sort this one out. This is his job on this case, as opposed to questioning witnesses, which he also does. They were told it was being recorded. I'm not sure if that's enough, because they tell you they're going to record jail phone calls when you talk to your lawyer, and you're supposed to say, this is the lawyer, identify the conversation, and they aren't allowed to use anything or listen to it. All right. Am I muted? Can you hear me? I'm not muted. The feed originally had audio and now does not. We had to boost it about 50 decibels to get that. What if the elevator records the audio? Still privileged. Still privileged. The rules seem very clear, says Mel. It should be. They should be clear rules. This shouldn't be a gray area where it's like, I don't know, gotcha sort of thing, you know. Tricky, tricky. We were recording. It's no longer privileged. But even if they don't get to play the part that is just him and his attorney together, they want to play the part leading up to that break that he took where he talked to his attorney, just to say, this is what came before. Then they left for a period, then come back, and here's what came after. And I think that'll go to the same, you know, it'll prove the same point. Sloth Life just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Sloth Life. That is super, super generous. Judge seems to be in favor of defense, so expect a ruling for them. Chris, I've never seen this judge before. Okay, I know there are allegations of where he's been accused of things. I don't know exactly what. I think it was like in-court conduct type things. It seems 3 times now he's sort of put his hand on the scale to tip the balance a little bit. The last one with the way he asked questions after the defense had finished their questioning, and basically saying, hey, there's this area you should have gone into. This is actually what I'm concerned about. Now do you want to ask questions about that? And then defense got up and did. That was interesting. That was only because there's an instruction that the jury receives that basically says, the judge basically says, I don't have a dog in this fight. Okay, I am here to call balls and strikes as the umpire so that the game is played fairly in front of me. I'm also here to decide, you know, what is allowed to come in before you. That's my job. If I've done anything that shows I favor one side or the other, you should disregard it. Well, guess what? He's done that. He did that the other day. He put his hand on the scale, and he's done it a couple times. I called it the first time he did it, and he's done it 2 more times, and it's on the same side of the scale every time. And there's a consistency there that it feels wrong when we see it. It might just be because we haven't seen it before. I think judges are allowed to ask questions, but this might have been a little too much and a little too one-sided. And yes, it could possibly go towards a mistrial, but at the same time, motions, even motions for mistrial, have to be made in a timely manner, and I don't think any motions were made about that. The closest we have is the last time the judge did this. Twice the defense asked to go into a meeting with a judge outside the presence of the jury. They wanted to go sidebar, basically, and he turned it down both times. So that's the closest thing we have to an objection. Let's see. Walter says, didn't Rusty seal her fate yesterday by saying she told him he was in the fire days before he was found? Yes, Walter, he did. But he recanted his statement and said, I got the date wrong. Yes, she did tell me that, but she told me that after. And I've played this over my head a couple times. Why, if she, a week later, would she say, he is in the fire? Why would she not say, he was in the fire? We found his body in the fire. Why would she say he is? Is a current state, right? It's not past tense. The way she said it, the time of day she said it, everything matches up with, it makes sense for her to say that. And his response as well. Don't tell me anything else. I don't want to know. You know, everything, all the clues surrounding this event indicate that it happened before his body was found. And that's what he originally testified to. So I understand there is a 2 a.m. phone call. I believe there is. I believe we've got records that there was a 2 a.m. phone call, and now we know what they talked about. And it's something that the conversation would only have occurred in that type of setting prior to him being found, prior to the police knowing. And, you know, yeah, it indicates that it was before. And it was. If it happened at 2 a.m. on the 4th of July, he was found on the 5th of July in the burn pit, right? And I know we have some problems with the fire investigator and a couple of the other experts about how long the fire was burning and why it was hot and when it would have been, because it doesn't match up. The family says the fire started on the 3rd, at least the night of the 3rd it was burning because Scott saw it then. And the fire investigator says it couldn't have started until the 4th because of how hot it was when we got there. There's some issues there. I think the fire investigator probably didn't account for all the variables, not knowing, the size of the fire, how tall it was. We don't know how long it was tended before he fell in the fire, and how much more stuff was added. It could have been. I think there's some different things that come into play. Zimmy, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much, Zimmy. Is that a red-tailed hawk? Or is that a kestrel? I can't see. It looks sort of like a kestrel. I wanted a hawk. I wanted to be a falconer. Just about took the class. I was going to build a muse and everything. All right. I'm with Recovery Addict. I think it was the 4th, and she did say before he was found, which has changed my view for now. I'm saying this is strong evidence against her. And yes, I know Rusty has told lies because he's changed his story under oath. He has said different things when he's been under oath at other times. And so we know that he has the capacity of lying. And I have to factor that in. But I believe what he said about the 2 a.m. call initially, and I don't believe the recanting story. The recanting story just doesn't make sense. You listen to his, it was like a week later. I don't know what date. Well, it's very convenient to not know what date. Why? Because they have phone records. They can verify. He would have to know, have a viable time and stamp. It's like, it was this time and she called me and yeah, he needs that and he doesn't have it. So I'm not buying his recant. Is that a recantation or is that like a spell? I don't know. That's an incantation. I'm sorry. Different. Very, very different. Very different. Bug Dugger, thank you. Gifted a membership. Thank you very much. I got your message. Thank you. It probably is not going to work out distance-wise, but thank you for the generous offer. Let's see. Oh, we have it now. Sorry. Sorry, Chris. Let's see. Boom. All right. Well, I will tell you this. One thing about the cell signal coverage in Florida, it is fantastic. My current bandwidth is 10,801 kbps on 2 of my 4 connections. It's not even using the other 2. That is just, I'm super stoked about that. Okay. It's live on Top Mark. There we go. All right. So Sarah Boone is, we've got the feed going from Top Mark Video for Trial TV Live. You're not going to find it if you go and look on Top Mark. It's not going to be there. You're not going to see it there. It's going to be over on Trial TV Live. We're providing the feed. We're providing the equipment. It's going through Top Mark, and then it goes to Trial TV Live. But they're helping us out down there. So if you don't want to watch Sarah Boone's stuff today before we end this court midday, because they are ending halfway through the day, that's the place to be to watch it. What? right. All right, what's up? We'll just get everything sorted with Trial TV Live. Oh, we might be getting some audio here. Maybe. Sharon McDonald, one of our OGs and one of our fantastic mods. Thank you, Sharon, for all you do. Says, time flies when you love the community Scott has built. Thank you for everything you do, Scott. We appreciate you. Sharon, everything I do seems to pale in comparison to everything you do consistently, day in and day out. Thank you for all you give to this channel. Puts in just unbelievable amounts of work, starting bright and early in the morning. Thank you. You and all of our mods. Big thanks for you. All right. Yeah, we are in Florida. We're at the Orange County Courthouse. We're connected to the media pedestal. We're live streaming it directly to Top Mark Media, and then it's being broadcast on Trial TV Live as a clean feed. Where we'll be able to watch the rest of the trial after today. Ida, I think we still want to cover it, which means we have to work days and nights starting next week. Sorry, I apologize for that. But we'll have to watch Sarah Boone during the day and then just work all night and watch this trial on high speed to catch up. There are a couple outlets that are covering it. Obviously, the big channels are covering it. There's lots of places you can see it. I'm the only place that has the audio the way I do. But that's it. Have they started this trial yet today? They've done some work outside the presence of the jury, which we haven't seen, some motion stuff, and we're waiting for the judge to make a ruling. But it's coming on slowly. When are they going on the field trip, or did they already? I don't know if it's going to be today. I think the judge has something today, which is why they're not doing it. But not sure. Not sure exactly. Mert, hello to Mexico. Thank you for connecting from down south. Hope you are doing well down there. Appreciate the international aspects of this audience. I'm sorry, Lily. I'm sharing a bunch of technical stuff. Basically, we get court feeds by applying to court, by sending in paperwork. This particular court for Sarah Boone we've been working on this for months to get approved for court. We've finally been approved as a company, as Top Mark Media, who is my company that owns Recovery Addict, the channel. Top Mark Media has been approved as a media outlet by the court, and then we had to submit requests for media identification for our reporters who are on the scene. And so we have both Chris and Jules acting as reporters for our channel. So they get ID badges and access to things only media can do. And one of the things only media can do is connect to the feed, the video feed, like actually plug in the wires and get the video straight from court. And so that's what we're doing. Is Trial TV on YouTube? Yes, it is, Donnie. Yes. We've been saying that for a couple days, Donnie. I need you to pay closer attention. We've even been sharing their links. See text, please. I will do that. Pretty sure, Thomas. I think I just told you the truth. I'll check if there might have been one, but I don't know. All right. Will you be back on Monday? Yes, I will. I'm leaving for South Carolina. We leave here at noon on Friday, and so we'll have the stream set up. It's going to be Sarah Boone on Friday. So we'll have the stream set up. You'll just not get my commentary in the afternoon. And so we'll have that live stream, and that's fine. That's our stream. We can do that. And I'll be gone. We'll start doing some work. We'll get there in time to do some cleanup. It's mostly chainsaw work on Friday night. Then we'll be there all Sunday or all Saturday, and then all Sunday, and I'll be back Sunday night because it's only about a 5.5 hour drive. Bring the sound. Is this one of the craziest trials in terms of drama that you've ever covered? There have been some wild ones. I mean, we've had some cases that have just absolutely incredible witnesses that will just. I mean, we've had some in Judge Wolf's courtroom that are just shockingly blatant about how life was back then, and everyone slept with her type thing. It makes your jaw drop. Talking about an underage girlfriends that the boys, all shared. And then we've had other ones where, like the Tommy trial, where we had witnesses just drop some bombs and some really flamboyant as far as courtroom behavior as well. We've had a lot. So it's hard to say if this is the most drama. But I would say no. There have been some courts that are just constant drama, just not as long as this one. You think Brandy would babysit us on your channel? Brandy has her own channel. She doesn't want to do my channel, I'm pretty sure. Will we have this trial available on one of the platforms Friday? Yes. Well, yes. Yes. The court forgot we wanted to listen to. They're gonna be in. I think they're still dealing with some of these motions. They said they'd be about 15 minutes. That was half an hour ago. So Baldwin was crazy. Brooks was crazy in a different way. Will my kids go? Yes, we're gonna be. We're camping at a church in. It's like Wade something. There's a Baptist church at Wade something, sort of like northeast of Greenville, South Carolina. They've got a large field, and my organization talked to them. They said, here, you can use our space. We can't use like their church or anything, but we're going to use their space just to set up camp tents, and we'll be there for 2 nights. And then we sort of have to be self-sufficient and, bring everything you need, and bring your food, bring your heat, bring your clothes, bring everything. And then we're going to head back Sunday night. So I'm not too old to go lay on the ground and sleep. It's not going to be freezing. It's only going to be down like 40 degrees. So that's good sleeping weather. I don't know if there was a pattern of 2 a.m. calls. That Jay Thomas, they haven't introduced his phone records in total. We've only heard individual ones. Looks like we're now getting a feed. Getting some motion. The defendant is there present and seated. Everyone else is seated, except for the reporter in the very back, who seems to be getting a last minute of stretching his legs. Wade Hampton, I think that's right. Let me check my notes. Yeah, it's if you were to go like the middle of Wade Hampton, when you look at it on the map, if you were to go straight south until you hit 385, we're just east of that. Away from the businesses, more the residential area at a church over there, which I think is, I'm not sure what church it is. I think we're going to be at Morningside Baptist Church. That's the idea. Unless we find some other accommodation. You're going to leave us unsupervised? No, I actually bring everything I need to manage the stream with me. I just won't be on camera. So we'll get. What's going to happen is I'm going to come back, and mods will have timed everyone out. Like, they would have turned off chat. It was like, we're not going to take it anymore. You guys knock it off. Watch court and be quiet. Oh, a saw cam. I can mount the GoPro to the chainsaw. That's just a recipe for disaster. Do you have power? I also have a generator that I can bring if they need it. We'll find out tonight if we need to bring that. Jury's coming in. That's aside from the judge. I'm counting that one.
All right, we're waiting just a minute since we were
counting that one as well.
As happens more often than not, when we call folks to come in from outside and we haven't been, while we were doing other things, then that person isn't ready to go. So
that sounds like a witness that we're waiting for.
Here we are.
I'm going to show you the work that needs to be done in just a second. During the break, I'll show you where we're at.
Proceed, Your Honor. Go ahead. Mr. Barton, I remind you, you're still under oath, okay?
Yes, sir.
And Judge, at this time, I'm going to be playing Barton 1, July 24, 2018 interview with Mr. Barton. I'm going to start playing at 1 hour and 28 minutes and play to approximately 1 hour and 42 minutes.
He's a very loyal person, and it's taken us some time to get here, but in an interest of self-preservation, you know, you can either be in the witness box or you can be in the.
You want to pause and have him identify.
Was that Mr. Carter, your attorney, speaking?
I wasn't sure who it was. That's what I was trying to listen and see who it was.
Okay. Listen a little bit more, see if you can hear.
He's ready to talk about that conversation, but I asked him this before, leading up to that conversation. Had she ever indicated anything to you? Had she ever asked? Had she ever given you any inkling or any?
Do you hear that to be Bobby Carter?
Yes, sir.
That's his lawyer.
Indication that she intended to do him harm?
No. I have never heard that. I promise you, I have never heard that.
And that's you?
That's me.
Okay.
Before we start this, do you have any questions for me about anything?
No.
Can I just say a couple of things to you?
Sure.
That's Sergeant Pope?
Pope, yes.
Took us a while to get here, but nevertheless, that's just part of the business, and I want you to know that I understand your loyalty. And as I was telling him, it's quite refreshing because that's not present that much. But we did come up here for a purpose, and we came up here for this moment because not only do we believe it's a proper investigative technique, but we believe it's in your best interest. And as these things move out, sometimes they get ugly. And I think this is a situation that it might benefit you just to tell us about that. Also, I wanted to let you know what I told your lawyer, that I'm putting my name on the line too, because that's how confident I am in you and about what you're going to tell us, okay? And through this process, we're not going to do anything to surprise you, and we kind of view this as you coming on our side of the table, okay? And it may be uncomfortable, but I think it's something that needs to be done for yourself.
I think a reluctant witness is a truthful witness.
I would say that's a very strong and accurate statement. So at this point now, do you mind if Detective Hayes asked you? Okay.
Okay.
you prepared to? I feel the best way to do this would be just to let you tell us what you want to tell us, and then if we have any questions at the end to fill in.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Well, you don't remember when the call was, but you remember the call.
Yes. I couldn't tell you. I honestly could not tell you the number of calls, the length of the calls, the time of the calls.
Okay. Would you like some?
Well, would you like to just start?
I think a lot of this, I will tell you that I think a lot of y'all's trouble getting out of him is he's testifying from memory, and y'all know the details of his life.
I understand that. So I don't think we actually need to go through the time. I think because I don't want you to think we're putting you in a situation where we're trying to trip you up at this point. Is that accurate,
absolutely
sir?
not? Absolutely.
I want you to. Could you maybe diagnose the first call that would be an interest to us, not the time or anything about what happened?
I think there was only one conversation that is what you're looking for.
Okay.
Okay. And it was the last conversation.
Okay.
And
Would it be safe to say there wasn't much talking after that?
No, that was the end of the conversation.
Okay.
And is that the last time you've spoken with her? No.
Because I talked to her. I talked to her I talk to her every day. But again, every day was just every day.
So when let's talk about that conversation that you feel was
probably the last minute of the last conversation. She said, "Gary is in the burn pile." No, she said, "He is in the burn pile." And I said, "What?" And she said, "He's in the burn pile." And I said, "Do not say another word and do not tell me anything. I do not need to know."
Okay.
And that is everything, period.
That you discussed with her?
Period.
She didn't say anything about?
Nothing before, nothing since. When I talked to her after that, it was just like it was portrayed to y'all. We're looking for Gary. And
did she say? Okay, so there was we ain't gonna get into time. So there was a couple of phone calls that. There was a couple of phone calls that was later than usual for y'all that night. Did she say anything about anything that was going on inside the house that night? Nothing between her.
I mean, no. I mean, like I said, what we talked about, and I could not tell you any specific, other than the horses were out, and
she did tell you that.
Yeah, that she had been out after the horses, and
now I know.
You think that's why was that her excuse for calling you that late?
Probably. She was up. She was awake. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think anything about any of it until she said that, and then that's when I said.
So I want you to know, though, I don't want you to think I'm tripping you up. If there's anything else this statement that you just gave us, in my opinion, is very damning for her. So there's no reason in holding back at this point.
That's what this last.
If I'm going to give an ounce, I'm going to give a pound. That was all of it.
That was all of it.
That was everything that she said that had anything to do with whatever happened.
But that's pretty. I mean,
and I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
I don't know when happened or what happened.
And here's the thing: at the time that statement was made, you got to remember he wasn't even reported as missing.
I agree with you.
Right?
Me and him's going to step out and talk.
Yeah, sure.
1 second, okay?
I
want you to know I appreciate. No, we're fine. I appreciate us getting to this point. Though I'm going to step outside and talk to him real quick.
That's your.
Just for the sake of attorney and client, our recorders are still going.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of people up here that wouldn't have reminded me of that.
The investigators left the room. Now it's just Rusty and his attorney in there.
I mean, did you freak out? You freaked out, didn't you? Yeah.
It was like
a surreal.
Yeah.
I've had things in this business that happened to me, and while they were happening, I thought this can't really be happening.
Yeah.
Kind of like.
Yeah. Yeah, I just couldn't. I was like, what?
We're not holding back at this point.
No, that's it.
That's enough.
Well, that's it. That's all there is.
I mean, did you feel like any of this was building? Looking back on it, those conversations.
No, I didn't see I didn't see that coming at all. And literally when the TBI showed up, I was just in shock because I was like, you know.
That would have been a couple of days after that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That would have been, if she talked to you on Wednesday morning or Tuesday night, and they showed up at Friday afternoon.
The one for that day. Do we have specific ones for that day?
Yeah, I'll explain it. You just say which ones you want.
Yeah, you explain it to me.
All right, so we'll go into specifics. I know you don't remember. Maybe this will help refresh your memory, okay?
And I want you to know we're not trying to in the specific time, because sometimes it gets muddied up in it. And out of curiosity, were you actually on Tylenol PM or anything like that? You were? Okay.
And Crown.
And what?
Crown Royal.
Okay.
So he had drunk.
Would you say you were intoxicated?
Well, probably had been.
Were you groggy?
Yeah.
So that day there was.
But I think he wants to make clear to y'all that this was pretty much the last thing in the conversation that was said. So he would have had time to.
But I'm not trying to say, I'm not trying to say you're lying, because we're trying to build this foundation of trust, because we have had situations where we kind of caught you and.
Well, and they don't want to get surprised at trial. They don't want some lawyer picking up something at an angle that they have not covered with you.
You know what I'm saying? So, was there anything else? Did she say, I hit him with an axe, or?
No. And I told Bobby, I said, I don't know. She didn't say anything about
the mechanics.
How, what, when, where,
so
nothing. Who?
When the TBI came up here to your door,
I was in shock.
But you were certain that Melody had murdered him.
Well, I'm still not certain, but.
But she had knowledge.
The indicators were now, that.
I think the way you described this to me is it was almost surreal.
Yeah.
Like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Natural human curiosity, though, tells anyone that hears that statement that the logical next step is, what do you mean? Not, whoa, don't tell me nothing else.
Well.
So we're not accusing you of being a liar, but it's a hurdle we're going to have to overcome.
My assumption.
You understand that's going to be defense lawyer. The defense lawyer is going to cross-examine you about the context of that statement.
And he's looking way out in front. I'm going to call my supervisors when I leave here and what? And I'm going to have to explain to them.
That don't make no sense.
I'm going to have to explain to them your logic that I don't know. I can't interpret your logic.
Yes. Does that make sense?
So if that's not what you said, then you did say, I did say, what do you mean? Because
I just want you to know, we view this as you being on our side of the table.
I am, because I'm on my side of the table. And your side of the table is the side to be on.
They want to get out in front of cross-examination material. They don't want to be caught by surprise.
Well, and then we also, that is a very important, but we also want to be able to validate your statements to make that.
They're going to have to sell you as a witness to the prosecutor.
And we still have to overcome the fact that out of a 6-7 month period of phone records, the night that Gary was killed is still the only night in the middle of the night that y'all are talking. And you say y'all are just up talking about fucking and horses being out at 2 in the morning for an hour. I'm sorry, your 2:20 in the morning phone call was for 35 minutes.
That's a 35-minute conversation. So
is that 2:20 y'all's time or 2:20 ours?
I believe these are in Central Time.
Our time.
Okay. Is it our time?
Whose records are those?
These are Melody's records.
They would be in our time, most likely. So that'd be 1:20 your time. I feel like there might have been a little bit more to that conversation. Just out of my instinct.
If I was going to tell you this, I would tell you if there was anything else. I mean,
did she ask
this or this is the same thing?
Did she ask? Well, yeah, you're right when it's tipping the scale. That's right. To make the decision.
So if I'm going to step across the line. It's like being a little pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. I'm either across the line or not.
That's really a damn great analogy.
That's what was said.
A little bit.
And I said, don't tell me nothing. I don't want to know. So did I assume the worst? Yes, I did. Obviously, I did.
Yeah. So in your own words, it's, when she said he is in the burn pile, what was your assumption?
That she had something to do with him.
Yeah.
That he was dead and burning
Because
it
I don't, that he was dead and burning up.
Now, you said that he was obsessed with fire.
Oh, he was
Now, I don't know how that plays into this, but
I don't either.
That's well.
Always burning something. Yeah. Always burning something.
Yeah.
So.
You know, say crazy people are obsessed with fire.
Yeah, but the evidence suggests that.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is that's what was said, and that's what I said.
And you said something to the effect, what? When she said Gary's in the burn pile, or he's in the burn pile.
He's in the burn pile. I said, don't say nothing else. Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Okay, so.
I'm stopping at 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 4 seconds.
Wow.
1 hour, 41 minutes, and 4 seconds. I have nothing else, Your Honor.
Cross gets to pick
I'm
up
sure.
from there. They're going to focus on drinking, the Tylenol PM.
All right, Mr. Barton, my name is John Luke Weaver, and I, along with Michael Ray, represent Melody. You know, I was going to ask you a lot of other questions before we get to this, but I really want to go ahead and start talking. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
That's better,
All
thank
right.
you.
I want to go ahead and start talking about what was just played.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was going on right there, from your perspective?
I had already been back in my attorney, Bobby Carter's office, when we had talked, because I was flipping out.
Flipping out?
Yes.
Could it have been, and I'm going to, Your Honor, can I go over to the board over here?
Probably going to be taking the mic with you.
Well, I'll be closer to him, so hopefully he can hear me.
Bring it to you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
As I come closer?
Yes.
All right, so you were flipping out. Could it be safe to say that you were flipping out because you were interviewed 1, 2, this was the third interview, yes?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and then you were interviewed at least 2 times after that, but weren't you actually interviewed, were you interviewed 2 times in August of that year?
I thought there was more interviews than that.
Okay.
Yes.
So, they wouldn't leave you alone, right?
Correct.
All right. And didn't you say yesterday, and this one shocked me, and I vaguely remembered it myself, but they actually brought with them a warrant. Was this on the 10th or the 24th? They brought a warrant with your name on it.
Correct.
For conspiracy to commit murder.
I do not recall what it was for, because honestly, I really didn't look at it when it was scooted across the table to me.
Who scooted it?
I think Detective Hayes did. Not 100% sure, but I think Detective Hayes scooted it across the table, and I just slid it sideways to Bobby.
Was that this interview or the interview before?
I don't recall which interview it was.
Okay. And so conspiracy to commit murder and concealing the death of another, was that what it was for?
Like I said, I honestly, I did not read it. I just gave it to Bobby.
But you knew what it was?
Detective Hayes told me that it was a arrest warrant.
For you?
Yes.
All right. And they had also, in these other interviews, in this interview, been talking about things like the death penalty, right?
Correct.
All right. And so you thought they were talking about you, right?
I think my name was mentioned.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it's safe to say you were freaking out. Yes?
I was.
All right.
Very much.
So how did it come to pass that you and Mr. Carter decided, did you call them or did they call you for the 24th? How did this meeting happen?
I don't really know how we had the appointments that we did, because I remember one time calling Bobby and say, I just saw Detective Hayes and Sergeant Pope in town.
Would that have been before the 24th or before the 10th?
Probably before the 24th.
Okay.
But that's just a guess. I just remember that happening.
All right. So, and the jury's now heard the snippet of this very long interview, but I think the word self-preservation was used in this interview. Do you remember that? Self-preservation? That's for you?
For me, I said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, did you hear that in this interview just now?
I did not hear that in this.
Okay.
But
did you also hear that your attorney kept saying about you being on this side of the table and not this side of the table.
Yes.
All right. And then you said this is the side of the table to be on, right?
Right.
Right. Because you were terrified of being charged with something.
Beyond my belief.
All right. And so you felt compelled to give them something even if it wasn't true, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you tried to clear that up, correct?
I did.
And I think you wanted to clear that up as of roughly October or November of 2018, right?
That's correct.
But your lawyer said no.
Exactly. You're right.
He said, don't poke the bear, right?
That's exactly what he said.
That's exactly what he said.
Yes, sir.
Because Bobby Carter's job was to defend you, right?
He reminded me of that regular.
Not her, right?
That is correct.
So throwing her under the bus to save you is something that Bobby Carter would obviously be willing to do, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's back up. I just thought we needed to answer some of those questions based on the recording that was just played.
Yes, sir.
Out of nowhere.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's go back to 2014.
Okay.
All right. So Martha Jane and your dad was still living, yes?
Yes, he passed away in
2014. But he was getting sick at that time.
He had Alzheimer's for about 7 years. Had over the last several years prior to 2014, had a number of mini strokes, and then whatever time this part of it started, March maybe, he had a bigger stroke that put him in the hospital and then the nursing homes, and he never came home after that.
Okay. So Melody would be coming up because I believe the words you used yesterday was Melody was more like a daughter to Martha Jane.
That is correct.
Because Melody doesn't have a very large family, correct?
And she has a very small family.
Right. In her extent, she has a number of children, but as far as cousins, aunts, uncles, all that, she doesn't really have it, right? Okay. So she would come up and take Martha Jane to Nashville regular. Yes?
Which is where she was when Daddy had the stroke. Her and Martha were in Nashville.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And would she take your daddy to the doctor too? Help take care of him?
You're talking about during this period?
During that period of time, yeah.
Well, yes, because if I couldn't do something, Daddy was only moved, I guess, ambulance to the hospital, and then actually she and I moved Daddy from one nursing home to the second. I don't remember how he got from the hospital to the first nursing home, but then from the first nursing home to the second nursing home, well, I think that's right. We put him in, I believe, her vehicle and swapped nursing homes. But yes, she helped in every way.
Every way. So would it be fair to qualify Melody as a caring person?
Very much so.
The kind of person that goes out of her way to help others around her.
She drove from Atlanta to Tullahoma to pick up Martha and then drive to Nashville.
Regularly?
Regular.
Okay.
And I think one time had just got back home and Martha called her and she repacked a bag and turned around and drove right back to Tullahoma.
Okay. And she would do that all the time?
Yes, sir.
All right, moving forward, so about that's roughly the time you guys started having a relationship, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And yesterday, and you used these words, you thought they had an open marriage from everything that you saw. Gary did his stuff, she did her stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Why did you believe it to be that way?
Because she came in with as she wanted, and most of it I heard from her, but that was kind of how I knew. Okay,
but Gary did the same thing from what you understood?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, you guys went to that wedding in 2016, Emily's wedding. Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I believe yesterday a picture was shown to you. Did you see a picture of you at the wedding?
I don't remember seeing.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll pull it up.
Sparkler time. Melody was more than willing to pack her bags and head to MJ's house or Jamaica.
So this wedding, you remember?
Yes.
All right, this is you in the background here.
Yes.
That's dancing with Melody. Can you tell? I mean, it's okay if you can't.
Yeah, I'd say yes.
Okay. All right, here you are dancing with Melody again. Looks like a snippet of a picture shortly after the last picture. Same thing right there. And you're over here, actually. Is this you right here?
Yes.
In Payne 7 with Sherry Cooper?
Yes.
All right. So you were dancing with other people, having a good time.
Yes.
All right. This is you with Chad Bruce. Do you remember him at all?
I do. He went and got me a beer.
All right. And looked like he had another one for himself right there. Two of them, exactly. And is this Sherry Cooper right here?
One for
yes, it is.
Do we know who this person is?
I do not.
Okay. And that's you dancing?
Not the prettiest face, but yes, that's me.
Not the best moves, but I don't have them either. All right, so this is you right here lighting sparklers.
Yes, sir.
Is this Sherry Cooper?
I believe so.
All right, and is this Gary Farris right here next to you?
It is.
All right, so Gary Farris, was he yelling and screaming at you at that wedding?
No, sir. We were all drinking, having a good time.
Well, what do you mean?
Everybody was having a good time. I mean, we're lighting sparklers together.
All right, did y'all have any other conversations that day? Were y'all...
Oh, I'm sure we did, but
yeah.
Nothing out of the way. Everything was quite congenial.
All right, so he never had any crosswords with you?
Not a one.
All right. Now, I want to say something about, earlier, yesterday, you said, well, yeah, we weren't. It's almost, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. So, you're from the South, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, y'all are having an extramarital relationship, yes?
Yes.
Right. Though you believe their marriage to be something that allowed that kind of thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, but in the South, you wouldn't put that kind of thing on the front porch, would you?
No, sir.
You'd put it on the back porch.
Correct.
So at the wedding, you didn't flaunt that kind of thing in front of the kids, right?
No, we did not.
But you understood that Gary probably knew about it, right?
Yes.
All right. So yesterday, too, the state talked to you a little bit about what you thought you knew about Gary's health, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you know he had these spells? Had you ever heard that phrase?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I think you used the word esophageal cancer, but is it also not reasonable if you hear somebody having intestinal bleeding or bleeding that you could construe esophageal cancer even though you maybe never heard those words out of her mouth?
Yeah, that would probably have been my term for what it was. I think I'd guessed at that what it would be because, again, I had
that was your guess.
That was my guess.
Yeah.
But I had a close friend that had it, and he did throw up blood. So
that was just kind of your thought. You had a close friend. Maybe that made sense.
Yes.
Okay. And you knew he'd been in the hospital.
Yes.
And you knew he would have these spells, of course.
Yes.
All right. So not a healthy guy.
No.
All right. You never got the feeling that Melody was poisoning him or anything, do you?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay. She didn't talk to you about anything like that, did you?
No, sir.
Okay. The state brought up y'all's 6-month plan, which I believe yesterday was the first time you'd heard about a 6-month plan. If Gary were to pass, do you remember anything about that?
I remember it said when there was one of the interviews, I think, with Detective Hayes and Sergeant Pope.
Okay. So what do you know about this 6-month plan?
There was no hard plan for anything, as far as ever getting married or ever even being together. But it was said, he asked a question, I believe, and I didn't answer immediately, and he answered, or he said, like 6 months, and I think I said yes.
Okay, all right. Well, let's just kind of talk about the nature of y'all's relationship.
Yeah.
Y'all were obviously close. And you obviously loved her. You testified to that.
Correct.
Right? But you also had another girlfriend at the time.
I did.
What was her name?
Christina Grant.
All right, so Christina Grant. Y'all were pretty close too.
Yes, we are.
Are y'all still together?
No.
All right. But back at that time, y'all were.
Yes.
So you seeing two women?
I was.
All right.
Did
Now,
she
and
go to
I'm not
Jamaica
trying
too?
to put any words in your mouth or make any accusations towards you, but sometimes men have been known to say things to multiple women to get to keep both women. Would that be fair that you were doing that back then?
I've heard of that.
You heard of that? Okay. So sometimes you might say things to keep both of your girlfriends.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I want to go back to that email in 2017. And this is, of course, after y'all went to Jamaica. So I guess Christina found out about that. She got jealous.
Yes.
But did Gary ever reach out to you?
Never.
Okay. And did you just knew Christina was upset?
Yes.
All right. Did you know of Gary and Christina having any contact after that?
I didn't know of it.
What do you mean?
I just kind of had a thought.
What's your thought? Can you go ahead and tell me?
Yeah, I thought that they probably got together.
You thought they got together?
Yes.
They went up to Nashville together?
I don't know.
Had an overnight trip? Have you heard of that?
I don't know. That was kind of she got to where she would be disappearing, and I kind of figured that might have been what it was.
Interesting.
Because I know that she had Gary's information.
Okay. So I'm gonna bounce back around. I do that, and I'm sorry. I can't stay in line. The district attorneys, they've got their nice notebooks, and they're constantly in order, and I'm disordered. That's why I get to be a defense attorney. But I want to go back to these interviews over here. So they come to your house. This is at Bobby Carter's office. All the other interviews are at Bobby Carter's office.
Yes,
right?
sir.
That's Judge Carter. He's a judge now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Coffee County.
Correct.
Right. And at which one of these interviews did they decide to tell you they were going to bug her?
I don't remember. I want to say that it was probably either that July 24th or August the 2nd, but I'm not sure which one it was.
Okay. What do you think about that?
I was wanting to do anything I could to help. I mean, I wanted to show them I didn't know anything. I had, was no involvement, and I would do what I could do.
Protecting yourself.
Yes.
Staying on that side of the table and not that side of the table, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you did this, and at first you didn't do the recording on the recorder. Why did you decide to tell Melody about that?
I don't know. At the moment, it was like, very early on. I don't remember what day that was, but I had tried to use that recorder. You got to hold it up with your phone and put it this way and that way, and it was awkward. And then when I saw her, I just said, they'd give me a recorder. They want me to record our phone calls.
Okay. I do want to talk about one other thing. Going back to the 9th, right the day before the 10th of July.
Okay.
Okay. And that's when this statement about the burn pile and all that, I believe that's what you said in 2019 actually happened, right? The statement that you say that you changed the time when that happened, you say that happened on the 9th of July? Or when did that happen?
I don't know the date.
Okay.
I just know that I had gone to Martha's house and was talking to her.
This was at Martha's house?
Yes.
That's when it happened?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're going to talk more about that. But let's go back to these recordings.
Okay.
So then you start recording her on these Call-Yos, which is this app on your phone. Like you got a phone, you get your phone out, you call her. Do you call her through the app, or how did that work? Tell me how it works.
Seemed like I had to dial, for me to call her, it seemed like I had to dial a number, and then it went through, you could hear it going through a system or something. And then when it came in, it came in as like a recording, and then you had to answer it, and then it was her.
Okay.
Didn't know which way it was going.
All right.
That's been...
Right. It's been about 5 years.
More than Google Voice.
Between 6 and 5 years, because you did it through 2019. So you did it for almost an entire year.
Well, from the latter, we'll say August.
Sure.
Of 18 till would have been June of 19.
You recorded her.
Well, they did.
Right.
Yeah.
And in all of these phone calls, because they've been provided to us, but in all of these phone calls, did she ever confess to anything?
No, sir.
All right. And in fact, in these phone calls, would she talk about who she thought actually did this?
Yes, sir.
And who are those two people?
Scott and Chris, her sons.
That's what these phone calls were mostly about, right? A lot of the time.
It was part of the conversation at times, yes. I don't remember how often.
And did she show concern that the state wasn't investigating the people she believed perpetrated this crime?
Yes.
All right, and y'all talked about that a lot. Of course, you also talked about the normal stuff. I love you, all those things. And that's just a very simple, by the way. All that means is everything, all of it. We're going to make it through all of it.
Yes, sir.
Because that started back when you were taking care of Martha Jane and your dad.
That's correct.
And that's when y'all first fell in love.
That's correct.
No top secret meaning to all.
No.
Okay. So in all those phone calls, nothing.
Nothing.
But then you said too, because I mean, you know how the whole thing looked. You went, got her. I think you got her a burner phone. That's the word he uses.
Yes.
What do you call those phones?
Straight talk.
Straight talk phone. All right, straight talk phone. Go to Walmart, get a straight talk phone. You gave it to her because you wanted to see if maybe you could get something out of her.
That's correct.
Because at the end of the day, you were dating her, and you didn't want to be with somebody that killed her husband, right?
That's correct.
That's right.
That's right.
So you did this, and in all those interviews, all those times that you were questioning her, did she confess to murder?
Never.
Right. Who did she still maintain did this, in her opinion, best you could tell?
Chris and Scott.
Okay. Because let's talk about, can you remember some of the odd and strange things Chris and Scott were doing throughout 2018 and 2019? Do you remember any of that when y'all were talking on the phone?
She had told me about some instances with both of them.
Could you tell the jury?
One time, I don't remember the circumstances, but Chris came to the house and threatened to beat her unrecognizable and stand over her grave and watch them lower her into the grave.
Okay. That's concerning. Anything else? What about Scott? What were some of the things Scott was doing on the property?
Wow.
Scott stayed gone a lot. He'd go play golf, and or, that's what I was told. Scott would go play golf. He'd be gone. He'd come in and, just explode over nothing.
On his mama?
Yes. Yes, on his mama.
Right. So he was showing a lot of anger towards his mama through 2018,
Yes.
2019. Yes. What about the assets, the family assets and the property? What was Scott doing? Can you remember? And it's okay if you can't, but just what you can.
Oh, the only thing that I know was, that Scott would come over and get a debit card, credit card, whichever it was from Melody or sometimes from Gary, just so he could go do something.
So mentioning the credit card. So this credit card that she had from you, that goes back years, right?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
It started, I gave it to her, I think initially, back when we first started with Dad and Martha, in case she had to pay for something, because I think, like I said yesterday, she had to handle the septic tank people coming out and digging up the backyard and pumping the septic tank. And because I was at work, and if there was anything that she had to pay for, she would have my credit card. But she never did have to use it even for that. But she had it for that. Plus, like I said, also that Gary had at times cut the credit cards off to her, to all of them, I assumed.
Did that to everybody in the family, right?
Yes, yeah. But that way she would have something to just not be, like be in Tullahoma or be in Nashville and not be able to get something to eat or gas. But again, she never did use it, not a single time in all those years.
Which I'm not saying. I'm not saying you know anything about Georgia law and divorce and who owns what in a marriage. But how about this? When you were married before.
Yes.
I think you were married for 36 years.
Yes.
All right. Every dollar that you had, that was also your wife's money too, right?
That's correct.
That's how that works, right?
Hers wasn't mine, but mine was hers.
Right. But that money was also Melody's too. That she could have had access to.
Yes.
That's her money.
Yes.
All right. And she knew that, correct?
Oh, yes.
And she bought for her house. I mean, had you ever been to the Purcell Lane house?
No.
Had you ever seen any pictures of it?
Yes.
So, would you say it was beautiful?
Oh, it was Southern living beautiful.
You would say Melody pretty much bought
magazine.
anything she wanted for that house.
Mm-hmm.
It's a show house magazine.
And clothing she wanted as well, right?
Yes.
So she didn't want for anything. Old Southern phrase. She didn't want for anything, did she?
That's exactly right. No, she did not.
Okay. So even though maybe Gary would keep up with where she was going sometimes, did you even know anything about that?
I think that if she spent, and I don't remember the exact dollar, but it was either 25 or 35 or something like that, he got a notification.
But she still got to buy anything she wanted?
Yeah. It didn't matter whether it was $35 or $350 or whatever.
Or $3,500.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Okay.
No.
I want to talk to you too. Did you talk with Melody through all this time about just some basics of, certainly there was some concern here, but we're talking about a lady that, y'all were together. How big is she?
She's little.
She's a little lady.
Yes.
And then her two sons, they're giants. They're big guys.
Yes, they're bigger than me.
All right. So, and I think you've mentioned some concern about that too, their size, when you were around them. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Y'all would talk about the fact that they're so large and she's so small and there's no way she could have done this, right?
Correct.
Just from the sheer basics of this case.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit. I've done it because sometimes I get a little heated and I'm trying to calm back down. Because I don't want words ever getting put in your mouth, Rusty. I want you to be able to talk and tell the story to this jury because you were the one there and you were the one that lived it. So I want you to explain what was around. So obviously she was in custody at that point, but in June of 2019, we call it recant, but you're not really recanting. You're just trying to better explain what she said to you, right? And when she said it.
But what was said was not changed. It was just when it was said.
Okay, so just kind of better explain that to the jury, because that's a lot of what this case is coming down to. The district attorney is putting their case on the words that come out of your mouth.
Right.
So I need you to explain those words to that jury right there.
She said those words to me.
Okay.
I heard them. I just, in my confusion and pressure of, I got to do something. They're going to arrest me. They're going to ruin my name. They're going to put me, line me up. It came out because Bobby didn't even know I was going to say that.
Bobby didn't even know?
No.
So that's just what you felt like you had to do to preserve yourself?
Yes.
But then you tried to explain later that, yes, she told you about that, but that was after Gary was already found, right?
Yes.
Okay. she's in custody sometime around the preliminary hearing. I mean, a video or a recording was played yesterday where y'all are talking about a chess game.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, and I believe they're talking about Michael. Y'all are talking about Michael. And it just kind of struck my mind. Us lawyers, we call strategy in cases chess games. So it sounded like you guys were, tell me if I'm wrong, but y'all are already using the language of the strategy of a case. It's like a chess game, yes?
Yes.
That's what that's about.
It was, as you put it, this side of the table and that side of the table. They're playing chess.
Okay. And speaking of lawyers, because there's been a lot of lawyers in this case and a lot of district attorneys and a lot of defense attorneys. Once upon a time, she had Manny Aurora, but Manny Aurora told everybody to stop talking, right?
Yes.
In fact, I think that's pretty good legal advice. I can go get out my card, and on the back of my card it says, what tips on talking to the police? Don't do it, right? Yeah, I didn't give you my
your
card,
cards.
but I'll give it to you, and that's what it says. And that's what Melody was trying to do, was to tell you that Manny said everybody's got to stop talking. Yes?
That is correct.
That'd be some pretty good legal advice, wouldn't it?
I think so. Hindsight, yes.
Because here you are, things that you felt like you just had to say to protect yourself has gotten you in front of that jury right here and her sitting right over there, right?
Yes, sir.
And going to that, in that recording about, if you keep talking, I keep pointing up at that because that's where the sound comes from. But they're recording yesterday of her in jail. And she said, oh, I didn't do this. And you said, oh, I know, honey. But if you keep talking, you're going to hang me. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
You understood that to mean with just talking, it doesn't do any good, does it? Because here we are. Has it done any good?
No, sir.
So on the 24th day of June 2018, that was a lie about when that conversation happened with Melody.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I appreciate you for being honest about that. I appreciate you for coming down here and being honest, because you don't want to be here, right?
No, sir.
This has probably been the worst experience of your life, has it not?
Ever.
You're under oath right now, I remind you.
Yes, sir.
And you seem like a kind of guy that takes an oath pretty serious.
Oh.
Don't you?
Yes, sir.
And you swore to God to tell the truth to this jury, have you not?
I did.
And right now, you're telling the truth to this jury?
I am.
And you tried to tell the truth to this law enforcement officer sooner than June the 25th of 2029, did you not?
I did.
But you didn't want to poke the bear.
That's what Bobby said.
Your Honor, if I may have 1 minute.
Trying to get the courtroom to make the lawyers turn the mics on in Sarah Boone's case. They're not on.
I want to talk about your guns. I want to go back and talk about the gun. Sorry. I'm sorry. We can take a break. We can take a break.
Can we have a minute?
All right. I was going to let you wrap up and then let's take a break. We'll take one.
How long are you?
Can you make it 5 minutes?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Let's keep going for 5 minutes.
How about this? Just let him break. Let the man break.
All right, we'll break.
Am I breaking?
Yeah.
You take that off.
Everybody run for the bathrooms.
Yeah, y'all are breaking. Yes.
Yeah, we're breaking. The judge hasn't said anything. The lawyer announced the
We're
break.
just going to sit here in awkward
Witness
silence
split.
for the next 6.5 minutes.
All right. The lawyer, the bolstering, Joni, yes, the bolstering the lawyer did to try to enhance this witness's truthfulness of what he's saying now, as opposed to what he said then. I'm surprised that wasn't objected to, but they didn't. So no objection there. I think the reason why they didn't is because they can pretty much pick that apart on redirect if they want to. Like, you said you're a truthful person, you take your oath seriously. You were under oath this time and you told us this. You didn't tell the truth here. You didn't tell the truth there. You didn't tell your girlfriend that you had, another girlfriend. You didn't tell, you hid relationships. I think they can pick apart his truthfulness, character strength, and make it look like a flaw. So, plus they don't object. They aren't really big on objecting, says Teresa. No objections. We are. Let me see if I can show you. Wait for it. Hold up. Hey. Your channel. Put this one over here. Okay, I'm getting there. Copy link. We'll bring this one over here. All right. Here we go. That took a little bit more work than I expected. Sarah Boone, this is what's going on. We've got some audio issues. The lawyers have microphones on their tables, and they're either turned away from the lawyers or are not. That Court TV, that's really close. That's like Lori Vallow close. It's too close. You know what happened last time. Anyway, so Sarah Boone is in court. They are doing, I believe, more jury selection right now, and we're going to keep an eye to the ground and an ear to the ground and find out what happens with that. We will be jumping to that trial live and then probably covering the Georgia case later. Tish, good to see you. We were waiting for audio, and I'm not getting it. I think it's because they're doing discussions and things behind the scenes. The lawyers are talking. So we've got audio turned off. Yes, the cameras can see everything about you. Yep, they can see you. They're allowed to look at you. Looking in the courtroom, seeing who's there. Anybody would recognize? Not sure. We'll go back to that another time. Anyway, I want to see Brandy. I didn't see Brandy in that picture. There's a chance last time the lawyers or the media was in the jury box. We'll see where they put them today. We'll find out. She got the eyeliner approval. I didn't see eyeliner. I'm not really good at telling if somebody has makeup on or not. Not sure if that's Jules on the back row behind that gentleman in the gray suit. Can't quite tell. Don't think Brandy's there today. I think she's going to be there when the court starts. Yes, the media was in the jury box last time. What time is this ending today? We've got a half day today. And, sorry, you asked an unrelated question earlier in chat. We were busy. Donnie, now that we're on a break, I can address it. No, the texting back and forth with the prank texter, it's pretty much done. Does Jules have your hoodie? She had it. She was wearing it yesterday in court, which is cool. We made a custom hoodie for Jules to thank her for the work she did with Maya, and it was good. Peter's supposed to be at Sarah Boone, at least for some of it. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to go to the entire thing. Let's see. Let's jump in.
Moving now to 23. Moving to 25, records from Tealwood Park Apartments. Have those been received by you, Mr. Owens?
Yes, sir.
Based on counsel's representation of not seeking to utilize the court takes no action on.
Why do I have? Oh, I've got dual audio streams going. That's why it's so confusing. Sorry.
Based on that representation, court takes no action. Moving to 25, records from Tealwood Park Apartments.
Judge, we never received what we wanted. We're not seeking to introduce that.
Okay. Based on counsel's representation of not seeking to utilize it, court takes no action on that objection. Moving to 27.
26, the defense does not intend to introduce any of the 911 calls.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Moving to 27, the video footage of the arrest on February 25, 2020.
The defense has not received that. The state may have it in their possession. It appears there's news footage of Sarah Boone in handcuffs being escorted.
State, do you have such an item in your possession? News footage?
No. Not that I know of.
All right, but we have not received it, so we don't have the evidence.
Okay, all right. Based on it not being received, court's going to sustain the objection. Moving to 29, the iPhone photo file name. Not going to read it, it's very long.
Judge, I do not intend to introduce 29.
Okay. Court takes no action based on counsel's representation. Moving to 32, iPhone photo.
I need.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir.
29, what is the ruling?
There is none, as the defense has advised they are not seeking to enter it into evidence. 32, another iPhone photo file name. It's very long, so I'm not going to read it.
Defense does not intend to introduce.
Okay. As such, the court will not take any action on that objection. 33, another iPhone photo file name. Court's not going to read it because it is too long.
Defense does not intend to introduce.
Based on counsel's representation, court takes no action on the objection. Moving to 48, another iPhone photo file name, 505 period JPG underscore embedded underscore 1 underscore 772.
We would stipulate.
All right, the objection is sustained based on stipulation. Moving to 59 and 60. I understand your objection. State any response.
Any and all exhibits previously listed by the state?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Mr. Owens.
Judge, Mr. J is a smart lawyer with a lot of experience. He's board certified.
Thank you, Tish.
He's filed
Congratulations.
This motion in limine to disallow the battered spouse syndrome twice. And yesterday, we were forced to disclose the overt act that constituted our defense that tied in with the self-defense. And so tactically, he was able to get us to that posture, so he knows our defense and how we're coming at it. The problem is the state has not been forced to give the details of what they allege Sarah Boone's overt acts or non-acts.
I need to clarify something. There was no forcing yesterday. The court reviewed Dr. Harper's deposition, and there was no overt act that she had testified to. She was specifically inquired about any imminent fear, and there was no response to those questions. The word overt act did not appear in any of the 4 or 5 sessions that she had with Ms. Boone. And the state was seeking, as we addressed yesterday, in limine to prohibit that.
I disagree with that. That was his deposition. He tried to control the witness. He kept cutting her off. He wouldn't let her finish explaining. I certainly wasn't going to do it. She's going to testify in trial about it. It's not my fault that he felt like he got the answer he wanted and he moved on. He didn't ask for any elaboration about that. But that's going to come out. But I understand that's all you had. But we had to do that. The state has not had to do that. And I understand under the Sixth Amendment that we have a right, the accused has a right to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation. And the problem with that boilerplate information is we don't know what they're claiming that she actually did, overt act or omission, that constituted second-degree murder. So because of that, we have to list everything because we don't know. It's like he wants to know. He wants the court to make rulings so that he can tweak his opening statement based on the court. The same with us. We don't know how to respond to their opening until they give it because we don't understand the full nature of what they're alleging Sarah Boone did to constitute second-degree murder.
He's going to have a terrible open. It's going to be
in an
terrible.
abundance of caution, we've got to list everything that may be relevant. But we don't know yet because we haven't heard. I would like to renew. They've renewed their motion on battered spouse. I would like to renew my motion for a statement of particulars so that I could know, the defense team could know, what it is exactly that the state attorney is alleging that Sarah did or did not do that constitutes second-degree murder. It's a serious charge. This is not, it's a unique case.
So we're gonna dump it right there. We're recording that. It's gonna be, if you want to watch this live, it is live over on Trial TV Live. That's our feed from court. Of this is happening this morning in Sarah Boone. They're covering a bunch of stuff. We did boost the audio as much as we can to get what we have there. He's going to lose that case. He wants the state to divulge more because, and he feels like he's already had to lay his hand on the table and he's playing poker against somebody who knows his cards, and he doesn't know how to do an open. He says, I can't decide how to do my open until I hear the other side. So it's going to be tough. We'll jump back for just a second. Listen to this. This is the state's response.
Mr. Owens.
They hate each other.
Mr. Cacciatore, myself, and Dr. Werner all sat together within 5 feet of Sarah Boone the first week of October and heard the final version. It's not very dissimilar from the version of Dr. Harper, but Dr. Werner's deposition was provided to the court previously for our motion in limine. I don't understand the position they're taking that they were forced to show their cards when Dave Cacciatore and myself and Mr. Owens and Dr. Werner were all there together to hear her version.
Yeah. So they're going to argue that back the other way. We're going back to Georgia, though, to finish this one out for the day. We've got half a day of court today in Georgia, and then we'll pick up with Sarah Boone once that's over on a new stream. Waiting for court to come back in session. I think the jury's not there right now. That's usually only 1 or 2 lawyers stand at a time, and a bunch of people seem to be milling about and talking. Missed the whole morning. Good morning, Linda. Good morning. This Georgia trial is fantastic. Scott testified that he got home to go straight to gather the horses. The evidence matches from what Rusty and Scott said. Scott says when he got home, the horses were gathered. Rusty says that the Melody had been out working on the horses, working to gather the horses that night. That's why she was up late when she called and said he's in the burn pile. I think that was right after. Melody put him in the burn pile and said, hey, it's done. We are at the Farris trial, Maris. Melissa, sorry. I'm mixing Farris and Melissa. Melissa, this is the Farris trial right here. Georgia trial is one of the best I've seen. Just remember, there was a time when you guys were like, this is so slow. But every trial has those. That's a good thought. Say my name. think the jury's coming in. I'm not sure about Rusty's hard of hearing. He seems to, loud noises seem to startle him.
Just briefly, Rusty, some things I missed there, but I want to clear up. So there was some talk in your cross-examination yesterday about guns, all the guns you own.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You didn't have any missing guns that you couldn't account for, right?
No, sir.
How about any guns that maybe Martha Jane had, right? Did she ever say she was missing a gun?
No.
All right. And any guns that you would have moved from your house, it was because of the children of your daughter or her husband?
Her husband.
Okay. But that's why things were moved around.
Well, there were no guns at their house, my daughter and her husband's house. I mean, I just didn't take guns in the house.
Because of respect for them?
Yes.
Okay. But none were missing?
No.
None unaccounted for?
No.
You let them search your property?
I did.
Okay. And let's go to your alibi. During that time period, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, in that time period, I mean, you presented receipts. I think you said you were at Walmart showing your pasta recipe. Is that right?
I went to Food Line.
Food Line, my bad.
Yes.
Okay, so you went to Food Line.
Yes.
And you were on video. You were in Tullahoma, Tennessee.
Yes.
Clear.
And
had they actually, and I don't know that they did, but it's all there. Anything you would have ever wanted to see on you would have shown you were in Tullahoma, Tennessee.
Yes.
Okay.
Then I went to Food Line twice that day.
Okay.
Detective Hayes actually reminded me of that during one of the interviews.
Okay. So they knew where you were.
Yes.
All right. Anything else, Mike? That's all I have for this witness, Judge.
Correct? Yes, Your Honor.
Now they attack his
Russell,
credibility.
I want to congratulate you. Your memory has improved greatly from yesterday to today, hasn't it?
I don't know. I thought we went over the same thing.
Who did you talk to last night about this case?
Nobody.
You have any conversations with anybody?
No, sir. Oh, well, I had conversations. I talked to my daughter.
That was it?
Yeah.
Talk about the case?
No.
Did you... Defense counsel was asking questions and you were freely answering those questions and giving actually commentaries on stuff based on no evidence whatsoever. Isn't that right?
I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying.
Do you remember right at the moment, about 30 minutes ago, Mr. Weaver asked you about whether Gary and Christina were having an affair or relationship? Remember that?
Yes, sir.
And he asked you to pontificate about your opinion on that, correct?
Yes, sir.
You have no evidence whatsoever that Gary was having an affair with Christina, do you?
No, sir.
You're just speculating, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
You're just trying to help Melody, aren't you?
No, I was just saying, that's what I said, wasn't it?
Well, you agree that they're trying to help Melody, right?
Sure.
Now, yesterday, did you wink at Melody?
No, sir.
You didn't make any facial expressions at her?
Not that I'm aware of. I've tried real hard not to.
You were looking at her about talking about that black diamond, though, weren't you?
I don't know.
Sir, a lot of questions were asked to you by defense counsel about, for example, what guns were missing or not missing from Martha James and other questions like that. And you agree with me that those are based on your word, what you say, right?
My word or what I was told, yes.
But it's based on your word whether or not to believe that. Is that correct?
I'm not following where you're
All right,
going.
let's see if you follow this. You agree with me that this jury has to decide your credibility, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming, yes.
And when they ask questions about guns and things like that, you agree that your word is all that you have to prove that. Isn't that right?
Yes, I'm saying either what I know or what I've been told or as we said, what I assumed.
And ultimately the jury, you agree, is going to have to decide when you're telling the truth in this case. Is that true?
Yes.
But you would also agree that on July 24th, 2018, sitting for hours with your attorney, we have a recording of you saying, Melody told me Gary's in the burn pile. That's the only recording we have when it comes down to your word, right?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Wow. Wow.
Let's just briefly explain, because I know sometimes when Mr. Focus asks you things, do you understand everything he asks you?
I didn't, but I was trying.
Okay, you didn't, but you were trying. All right, let's do this. Number one, you've been in business for what? 50 plus years.
Yes, sir.
And what do you sell again?
John Deere construction equipment.
John Deere construction equipment. So to have those kind of relationships,
tractors,
you have to be a man of what?
My word.
A man of your word. Because if you promise something, it's got to happen. And if it don't happen, then that deal is over, right?
And future deals.
And they'll never call you again.
Yes.
Because you're an old school kind of guy.
Yes.
So you've told this jury what happened. You told it earlier about what you said on the 24th versus what you said a year later and everything.
Yes.
I remind you, sir, you are under oath. You are telling the truth.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have, Judge.
All right, you can sit down. Thank you.
Judge, may he be on call released so he can go home, but subject to recall?
All right. So you get called back, you got to come back down. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's so he can't talk to anybody. The state is
calls Sergeant Kuykendall.
The state is not buying a tractor from Rusty. They're not buying what he's selling. He just shook hands with the prosecutor. He just shook hands with the prosecutor on the way out. I wonder if one of them gave like the dead fish handshake. Wow. I'm fine he can make a mistake with dates, but he said that the other conversation was just that they were looking for Gary and everything else. Everything
If you
fits.
could please raise your right hand.
He had not been found
Do you
yet.
swear or
which he
affirm
told
the
him.
testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, have a seat. If you could please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your full name for the court reporter, please.
Absolutely.
For us.
My name is Sergeant Trenton Kuykendall, and that's TRENTKUYKENDALL.
Sergeant, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office
How long have you been employed there?
since 2011.
Can you tell the jury, are you a post-certified law enforcement officer?
Yes, ma'am.
What exactly does that mean?
It means I've been through basic mandate, and I am post-certified through the state of Georgia. I got certified in 2007.
2007. Where were you between 2007 and 2011?
I worked for the University of Georgia Police Department, where I achieved the rank of corporal, and I was employed there for around 2.5 years.
Can you also tell the jury about your educational background?
Yes, ma'am. I have bachelor's degrees in psychology, criminal justice, and early childhood education.
Triple? He's got 3 bachelors?
All right.
Wow.
Certainly.
Yeah, if you could scoot up a little bit closer too.
Got that.
All right, Sergeant. Were you employed with the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office on July 5th, 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
And in what capacity?
I was assigned to basically days persons, which was our major crimes unit.
What was your title at that time?
Detective.
What's the difference between detective, investigator, sergeant, all of those titles?
Investigators are our deputy level investigators, and our detectives are specifically corporal level investigators, and you have sergeants who are the unit supervisors.
So you were a detective in 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Sergeant Matt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to make sure I have your titles accurate. Were you called out to 2155 Purcell Lane on July 5th, 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Around what time?
It was around, we arrived on scene at around 1:30, and I believe we left just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Petrified. Oh.
I'm sorry, you left when?
Just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and got there about 1:30.
I see what you're saying. Okay. When you arrived on scene, what was the first thing you did?
When we arrived on scene, we initially got directed towards the back of the residence. On the way there, we met with Lieutenant Simmons and were briefed on some of the basic information that was known at the time.
So what was the information that you had that you were briefed on prior to walking into the scene?
Essentially, we knew that one of the individuals that lived at the house, his name was Gary, he was missing. Nobody had seen him in a few days. We knew that what were believed to be human remains were found on the fire that was in the back. We also knew that some people had already started talking about some concerning things when they were away from other members of the family, such as seeing blood in the basement near the stairs, and also there being a gun that was seen a few days before and now wasn't seen anymore. So that was some of the initial basic information we had been given.
So when you were briefed by Lieutenant Simmons, what did you do next?
I went and looked at basically the burn pile in the backyard where the human remains were believed to be at.
Did you contact anyone, anybody of your supervisors?
Certainly. After looking at the burn pile, I contacted Sergeant Hands, who was my supervisor at the time.
Okay, and was crime scene called out?
Yes, ma'am.
When you looked at the pile, the burn pile, and then called Sergeant Hands, how was this investigation being handled? What was it being handled as?
We look at all death investigations as potential homicides when we first get on scene and we first start learning the information. Sometimes that can steer an investigation very quickly towards it. Basically, we get evidence and we get information, we start talking to the family, and it can steer investigations towards believing that the crimes are of a natural death or an accidental death. And in this particular case, we didn't have much information, so we were treating it like a homicide, but at the same time, we were just following our standard protocols as we would with any death investigation.
Did someone eventually get a search warrant for the residence?
Yes, ma'am.
Why would law enforcement want a search warrant for the residence at that point?
So that we have the legal grounds to search the residence and the curtilage and the property.
Once that was obtained, what were you tasked with doing on the scene?
The first thing I was actually tasked with doing was speaking with Scott Farris.
Speaking with who?
Scott.
Okay. How long did you speak with him for?
About an hour and a half.
And did you learn some information from him that allowed you to move forward and speak with someone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did you speak with after that?
Chris Farris.
And did Chris Farris share helpful information to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Was Scott Farris the one who had mentioned the concerning things that you had previously testified to?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Chris Farris share some concerning things?
He also did, yes, ma'am.
Were you present when the fire detective, Shane Daniels, was there?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And were you present when he checked Scott Farris and Melody Farris' hands?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe that process to the jury?
Certainly. He had several buckets and he had some swabs. I didn't get a good look at what specific types of swabs they were, but I did take photographs of him going through this process because it's not a process I was very familiar with myself because I'm not a fire investigator. So we went ahead and tried to document that via photographs, and I had also talked to Scott previously and got his consent to do this as well.
You were equipped with a camera?
Yes.
And you took photos throughout the night?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. After standing with Shane Daniel when he checked Scott and Melody's hands, what was the next thing that you were tasked with?
The next thing I ended up doing was standing by with the tractor, waiting on a member of the crime scene unit to come and process it.
Why did you do that?
Because it was a significant distance away from the house. We wanted to make sure it was secured.
Why did you need to make sure it was secured?
So that nobody could go over it. Once we realized the value of it and that we needed to process it, we wanted to make sure that there was no potential that anything could have happened to it in the meantime.
So individuals that you interviewed had mentioned something about the tractor?
Yes, ma'am.
That interested you all?
Yes, ma'am.
In your investigation? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. So you stood by to make sure nothing happened to it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, after standing by the tractor. What did you do next?
After the tractor was processed, I ended up back in the residence, and at one juncture, I asked the crime scene unit if I could assist with searching the basement area of the home. And when I did that, I did get permission to assist them, and when I did that, I found a projectile on the floor in the basement.
Sergeant, is this the projectile that you found? And I'm showing you Thrasher 280.
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the location in which you found it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you touch it?
No, ma'am.
Did you move it?
No, ma'am.
Did you feel your foot kick it?
No, I didn't.
Just a closer view. Is that exactly how you found it?
Yes, it is.
What did you do once you found it?
As soon as I found it, Lieutenant Ballard and Melanie Thrasher just so happened to be about 5 feet away from me, just on the other side of the chair next to the bar, and I immediately drew their attention to it so that they could collect it pursuant to their policies and procedures to maintain its forensic integrity.
Once you found that, did you kind of search the rest of the area close by to see if there were any other projectiles or any holes or anything like that?
As soon as I had found it, since they were right there and I got their attention, I let them handle more of that part of it. Because since I had found evidence, I didn't want to do anything that would jeopardize any other evidence in the location.
After you found the projectile, did you search any other rooms in the house?
Over the course of the evening, I had searched some other rooms in the house. I was following behind several other investigators. I wanted to search more, but just due to the nature of the investigation, as soon as I would start to begin to search a room, within moments I'd be called away and asked a question or need to brief somebody on information I had. So I really didn't get the opportunity to search the house like I wanted to. But I did go back behind other investigators to research areas to see if we had missed anything. And I never found anything of note doing that.
How long were you on scene that night?
We were on scene until a decent bit after midnight.
After your task of being inside the home and doing that portion of the investigation, did your role move to interviewing witnesses at some point?
It did. Later that, it was a little after midnight, I ended up calling Chris again and speaking with him over the phone.
I want to move to the early morning of the 6th, so still the evening of the 5th. Did you speak with Scott and Melody?
That would have been on the 6th, yes.
The early morning of the 6th, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you assisted Detective Hayes in those interviews?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How many hours did that take?
Can I clarify one thing? I actually spoke with Scott by myself out in the parking lot, and then I went in and assisted Detective Hayes with interviewing Melody Farris in the conference room at the precinct.
Okay. And how long did that take?
I believe I spoke with Scott for about 15 minutes, roughly, and then I ended up speaking with Melody for almost 4 hours.
And at some point during the 6th, did the crime scene open back up at the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you assist in securing that property once it was opened back up to the family?
Yes, ma'am. I did go back to the house prior to going to the precinct.
I want to go back to the house. You mentioned that you had taken some photos. Did you have the opportunity to take some photos in the kitchen of the kitchen counter, items that were on the kitchen counter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Right.
Sergeant, I'm showing you what has been previously marked as State's Exhibit Pickles 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and look at those for me. Do you recognize the items in those photos?
Yes, ma'am.
Are they fair and accurate depictions of the items that you saw in the home on the 5th?
Yes, they are.
State moves to tender into evidence states Kuykendall 1 through, what was the last number I gave you?
I believe it's 4.
4.
Objection?
No objection.
All right, Sergeant, I want to go over those. Okay, what are we looking at in Kuykendall 1?
This is a picture of a debit card issued to Gary Farris, and on the right side you can see another financial transaction card which is also issued to Gary Farris, and in the bottom portion of the picture you can see the wallet of Melody Farris, which is where these cards came from.
Those were the cards pulled from this wallet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to move to Kuykendall 2. And is this just a better photo of what was the contents of the wallet?
Yes.
I see money, a fiber.
And 3, Kuykendall 3, what are we looking at here?
That is an American City Bank card issued to a Roy Barton.
And at the time, did anyone know who Roy Barton was?
No, ma'am.
And the last one, is this the back of that same card?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's Kuykendall 4. Were those collected and taken in evidence?
The Visa card assigned to Roy was taken into evidence, but I don't believe the other financial transaction cards were.
And at that point, had any family members expressed suspicion of their mother seeing someone else besides Gary Farris?
Yes, ma'am, they had.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? I'm going to mark this as Kuykendall 9. I believe that's what this is. Judge, can we? Well, yeah, that's 9. Kuykendall 9.
I'm sorry, I forgot
That's okay. No, my fault. Sergeant, do you recognize Kuykendall 9?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you recognize that?
It's the card that was taken out of Melody Farris's wallet.
State moves to tender Kuykendall 9.
No objection.
Nice and big.
This is the physical card that was taken into evidence that states Roy Barton.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so then you spend several hours interviewing Melody Farris on the 6th.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you and Detective Hayes, was he in the room with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at any point, was she threatened or promised anything? Did you expose a weapon, handcuffs, anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Was she under arrest at the time?
No, she wasn't.
I want to talk about the following day, the 7th, and we have a calendar there if it helps. July 7th, 2018. You mentioned earlier in your testimony that you were tasked with calling witnesses. Was this when you called Chris Farris?
It was.
What is it that you called him about?
We were calling to reestablish communication and potentially talk to him some more. I'm not exactly sure what our goal in that was, but I did call him and try to get in touch with him and Jenna.
Okay.
Who is his wife.
And did Chris or Jenna ever call you back?
Not at that time, no.
Not at that time. Did you eventually speak with Jenna Farris?
I did.
When was that?
I believe I specifically spoke with her on Tuesday the 10th.
Did you ever speak with Chris Farris again?
Briefly on the 26th. They had reached back out to Detective Hayes, Scott and Chris did, to reestablish communication after not communicating with us for a while. And he had started that interview. It had gone on for, I guess, an hour or two before I was able to enter the room. And I came in just to see if I could be of any assistance to Detective Hayes.
And that was later on in the month?
Yes, ma'am. I think that was the 26th of July.
Okay. Let's keep talking about the 7th, see what else you did in this case. After leaving those voicemails, did you reach out to anyone else?
I got with Sergeant Pope, and we went to try to find several other people that we needed to speak to. The first of that was Terry Braswell.
Okay, and who was Terry Braswell?
He was a friend of Melody's.
Did he live nearby?
He did.
After speaking with Mr. Braswell, what did you find out from Mr. Braswell that assisted in follow-up?
In speaking with him, several things. He had gotten some phone calls from Melody Farris, so we spoke about that. In particular, we realized when looking at his phone that he had 2 phone numbers for Melody, and we obtained his consent to meet him back at the Free Home Precinct to forensically analyze his phone, which he consented to.
Which was done.
Yes, ma'am.
After obtaining that information from Mr. Braswell on the 7th, what did you do next?
We went and found Sherry Cooper, or also known as Sharon Cooper.
Who's we?
Sergeant Pope and I, I'm sorry.
Where did you go to do that?
At her house.
How long did you speak with, was she home?
She was.
And how long did you speak with her?
It was over an hour. I don't remember the exact time.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Sergeant, I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit Kuykendall 5 through 8. Can you please look at those for me? Do you recognize those photos?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you either the one who took them or were you there when they were taken?
Yes, I was specifically the one who took these pictures.
Okay, and are those fair and accurate representation of the items within them?
Yes, ma'am.
State moves to tender those exhibits.
No objection.
All right, they're moved.
All right, Sergeant, I'm going to walk you through those. We'll start with Kuykendall 5. What are we looking at here?
That's a picture of the front of Sherry's residence with Sherry in the picture and her cell phone.
Okay. Is this on the day that you spoke with her on July 7th of 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
And
That's
is that the date?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What are we looking at in Kuykendall 7?
That's her home screen.
And was it late at night? 8:23 p.m.?
It was pretty late.
Did this case have people working long hours?
It did.
All right. And what are we looking at in Kuykendall 8?
We were looking at a picture of Melody Walker, who is Melody Farris. And those are the 2 contact numbers that Sherry had for Melody in her phone.
Okay. So Sherry also had 2 numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, Sherry and Terry both had 2 phone numbers for Miss Farris.
Yes, they both did.
And did the family at this point, was the family expressing that she possibly had a second phone?
Yes, ma'am.
So that was of interest to you?
It was.
Did Sherry Cooper, was she able to confirm some other concerns of the family of an affair that Melody was having?
She did, yes, ma'am.
She corroborated some of that information for you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And after you eventually left Miss Cooper's home, did she reach back out to you at any point?
She did. She had communicated with me the next day. We ended up playing phone tag, and I ended up actually being able to get her on the phone. And I was at home. I was not working, but talking to her was very important, so I'd actually gone and sat in my car, and I was able to speak with her for a little bit about some other things she had remembered that she wanted to make sure we knew about.
So she remembered stuff and wanted to reach back out to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, was she able to shed light on Melody's state of mind in her marriage?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that helpful to your investigation?
It was.
All right, I want to talk about July 9th. When it pertains to this case, what did you do on the 9th?
In particular, I had been given some names of people to contact that had reached out to us as part of the neighborhood canvas. In particular, Joanna Newton and also Frank Allen and his wife.
Okay, and did you also make a call to Hampton Golf Village?
I did.
Why did you do that?
That's where Scott said that he had played golf on the morning of July 4th at about 7:30. He said there was a tee time where he played with Ted and Philip, which were his friends. So I called to see if they would have video of that, to also see if anybody could verify that there was, in fact, that golf game plan scheduled and the manner in which it was scheduled and things like that.
Did they eventually get back to you?
Yes.
When?
I spoke to Trevor Cross, who was the assistant golf pro that day, and I got called a few days later. I believe it was on Wednesday the 11th. The head golf pro had called me as well and had mentioned that he had seen Philip.
Philip Samples?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that who was with Scott that day?
Yes.
All right. And then...
And that gentleman's name was Sean Kelly that called me on the 11th as well.
On the 11th?
Yes.
Okay, you're kind of trailing off a little. I need you to keep it up. Keep your voice up. Thank you. Okay, so there was a day in between on July 10th. What were you tasked with doing on the 10th?
On the 10th, I followed up with speaking with Beth Braswell, who is Terry's ex-wife. That's where Ella and Emma were having a play date in Forsyth County. And Chris had dropped Ella off to play with Emma on the 3rd, and I was just following up with that information that I had gotten through my interviews to corroborate that that is in fact how it went and how that got established.
Where Ella spent the night?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And did you speak with anyone else on that, on July 10th, regarding this case?
I did. I spoke with a John Lambert, who was a service technician who had done automation work at the home.
Okay, and who else did you speak with that day?
That afternoon, I had spoken with Jenna Farris.
And without really telling me anything that Jenna had said, they've already heard from her, but how was that conversation?
It was a good conversation. I got a lot of information from her in terms of corroborating the story and basically the timeline that Chris had given me. That was one of my main goals.
What just happened? Not sure exactly what just happened there.
Was it a shorter conversation?
Let me give them.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's give them some direction. Let's don't talk about what anyone else said. Let's don't put your opinion as to what was confirmed, not confirmed, established, or anything else based upon what anyone else told you. Just don't say it. Just stick to the question and don't comment on what anyone else told you unless there's a specific reason and Ms. Frankish asked you that question specifically.
Yes.
All right.
So was it a shorter conversation with Jenna?
It was.
Okay, and she got off the phone with you kind of abruptly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, and then on July 11th, did you have the opportunity to go down to Burn Foreman with Sergeant Westbrook?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why did you do that?
To speak with Angela Phillips.
Okay, and did you speak with anyone else when you went there?
We spoke with Angela Phillips. They had their attorney representing them. His name was Nick Latito. And Eric Durlacher, we also spoke with him briefly.
And did they give you some documents from Gary's office that day as well?
I got a timesheet from them that day, but then over the course of about a month, I received several emails from Burr and Foreman. I believe a lot of them came from Eric Durlacher himself. And in those documents, there was a lot of things that we...
Yeah, not into the documents.
Second, can y'all understand him? We've been going for a while. My ears are tired, so I can't keep up with him. So slow down just a hair.
Normally, I got to speak
the
softer.
speed. I didn't think about the speed. Yes, you are a quick talker.
And those documents were put on a flash drive and given to Detective Hayes. I don't think I could tell you what was on them.
Correct. Thank you. Okay, and then on July 24th, who all did you speak with that day?
I spoke with Joanne Ward.
Joanne Ward?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is she?
She was a friend of Gary's from the building, but they didn't work in the same law office.
Okay, so she was interviewed briefly.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, were you able to attend a test fire with the marshal's office at Purcell Lane?
Yes, ma'am. That was in 2019.
In 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you tasked with doing on that day?
Standing by with one of the marshal's officers up in Scott's area of the barn.
And then I only have a couple more things to go over with you. You were briefly a sergeant of SVU,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? And you deal with crimes against children in SVU?
I do.
Okay. And you had the opportunity to sit for forensic interviews with Addison and Ella Farris?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is a forensic interview?
A forensic interview is, we use the Child First Protocol here in Georgia, where a forensic interviewer asks non-leading general questions to children so as to not lead them to certain answers, alter their memory, and it's done in a very child-friendly environment and setting as to not traumatize the children further, because typically it's done for things that are very difficult for children to talk about.
So law enforcement generally does not interview children when they're witnesses to crimes.
Correct.
They're brought to, where are they brought to?
In this particular case, we utilize the Anna Crawford Children's Center, which is the center we normally utilize, and this was on August 9th of 2019 as well.
And you had the opportunity to sit for those interviews. And when I say sit for them, where are you located versus the children?
You're in a separate room watching a live feed.
And you were present for Addison and Ella's forensic interviews in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Was that essentially the last task for this case that you were really a participant for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you were not the lead on this case, were you?
No, ma'am.
Generally, was the entire office of the sheriff's office, CID, helping and assisting with different tasks in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Give me one moment. That's all I have for you, Sergeant. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Judge, realistically, with us stopping, this is the spot, because I'm going to go.
All right. Okay, with that, we'll break for the day. Y'all have the afternoon to do as you please, but stay off the internet. All right.
Just don't do anything on the internet.
Just remember everything I've told y'all so far. Don't look up anything about the case. Talk to anyone about the case. All those sorts of things. Y'all can be excused. We'll see y'all tomorrow at...
Judge, can we approach real quickly?
all right, so y'all want to...
Sidebar real quick.
All right.
Just say what time. Tomorrow, what time? 8:45, I think. 8:45 is when it's going to be. All right. We're hearing that we are going to get opening statements this afternoon from Sarah Boone, but we're not there yet. I mean, we are there, like here. We're right there, but we'll see what happens here first.
Okay, yeah, they're supposed to let y'all bring stuff in, so if there's a...
This will be...
All right, y'all can be excused.
Jury's leaving. We'll see if they announce anything here at the end here. Or if we're done for the day. Hold tight. Keep waiting. Once the jury walks out, usually there's just a minute we have with the lawyers and the judge. We might get a little sneak peek at what's going to happen or what they're doing next. Meanwhile, Sarah Boone is actually being transported back out. So, once again, they use pink cuffs. She's always been very cordial with the corrections officers. But she's finally getting her day in court. It looks like it will begin today. All right, so she is gone. This judge is gone as well. So now I have to figure out red pen. Which counterbox here, counterbox here. Oh, Zoe's here again. Hey, Zoe. I thought we had a really simple Sarah Boone setup. Let's see if red pen's here or not. All right, I'm going to download this one and use this for now. Okay, they just shut off the feed from that courtroom. Detective Vids, no, I don't use software. I use hardware for streams. I don't like my stream dependent on the processor of my computer. So I use separate encoders. So right now I'm running two streams. I've got my Top Mark Media stream, which is running a live view out of Florida, and a Blackmagic Design ATEM Mini Extreme ISO that is running the stream from my desk. But I'm familiar with Ecamm. I'm not a big fan of software. Occasionally I use StreamYard. What time is Sarah Boone starting this afternoon? I do not know. We're waiting. They just barely left for lunch, I think, so we've got at least an hour. I'm just trying to make a thumbnail for that. I think we're going to say this is day one. Playlists. There we go. Detective Vids, 12 months. Congratulations, you just hit the year mark. Thank you for that. That is absolutely awesome. Hold on just one second. Sorry, trying to coordinate two streams simultaneously here. Let's kill that one there. Been waiting for Sarah for a long time. Oh my goodness, we have. It has been quite a lengthy thing. One for Sarah, 1 Eastern. That's an hour and a half. So we'll put it at 12:45 as a start time. I need an assistant. I'm not sure if one assistant would be enough. Plus, there's a lot to do here. Page 1, download. All right, almost there. Sorry about the delay here. Okay, there's our thumbnail for now. Live chat. I see Zimmy was first in chat today on the other stream. Let me build a portal. We can move over to Sarah Boone that way. There we go. Portal's connected. All right, now we're good to go. Finally, it was a long trip getting here, but we're there. All right, we're going to have Sarah Boone here in just a moment. One of your sons could be your assistant. None of them know how to do what I do. I've got a thumbnail for Sarah Boone, but it has things like keep this space clear for this and things on it. It's up already. Linda, have fun on your vacation. Thank you very much. All right. Looks like they're going to be back at 12 Central. So we're going to be back in 1 hour, roughly. And we're going to be picking up the Sarah Boone trial. Day 1 of the Sarah Boone trial starts today, opening statements. I believe that's where we're at already. So we've already built a portal, so we'll portal you over there if you want to, and then you can ring the bell and be notified if and when it goes live, which we anticipate it will. It does not look like she's, I don't think she's going to take the plea deal. She should have. She really should have. But she's not. There it is. See red pen's in here as well, so that's the right one. All right, as always with the rules on that, don't change anything. Red pen's running the show there. Make suggestions on the other pages. Follow the guidelines that way. But that's how the thumbnail is going to work. We've got a spare copy just in case there's bad actors. All right, so with that said, I think it's time to take a lunch break, and I'm going to focus on getting everything squared away for Florida. It seems weird that we're there already, that we're in court for Sarah Boone today. Not just the hearing, not just pretrial, but opening statements. Oh my goodness, we're finally here. She finally gets her day in court. She's wanted this for a long time. We'll see if she wants it after it's all over. I don't want to leave the trial, neither do I. We'll have to do both of them. That's all I can think of. Have to do both trials. Tonight, when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live. We're still picking a jury, but they're supposed to be opening statements this afternoon after the jury's done. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We're going to go live at about 12:45. So in about an hour, 12:30, right around there. And pick it up there. Can you please turn around and say hello to Walker, my grandbaby, watching you all the time. Walker, how are you doing, buddy? Probably our youngest viewer. We're our youngest viewer. Thank you, Walker. The excitement builds. All right. my anxiety is through the roof. I can't begin to explain. I'm somewhere between I have to be packing my car and prepping the emergency supplies for the trip down to South Carolina, which I leave tomorrow afternoon to head down there. And the other half of me is wanting to make sure everything is working just right on all the equipment here and with Florida. So I've got a busy lunch ahead of me. Guys, we'll see you on the flip side with Sarah Boone coverage. All right, be good. Catch you later. Bye.